Entertainment tonight.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Disaster aboard a Soviet nuclear-powered attack submarine at sea off the coast of Norway. The vessel apparently caught fire after an underwater accident. It surfaced, at least briefly, but then reportedly sank. Several crew members were spotted in rubber lifeboats, and there are reports of deaths. The number not known, many details are lacking. Defense Department correspondent David Martin is standing by at the Pentagon with what we do and do not know. David?
Dan, the fire broke out this afternoon in a one-of-a-kind Soviet nuclear-powered submarine, and tonight the Norwegian Defense Ministry is quoted as saying they believe, or they know, in fact, that the sub has sunk.
It was this afternoon. We do not know exactly, but at 700 local time, we had Orion maritime aircraft over the area, and I saw at that time two dinghies with the personnel in one dinghy. We saw also Soviet merchant ship in the area, and we know also that Soviet aircraft have been over the area.
The submarine is identified as a Mike class, which is believed to be an experimental model, possibly using an advanced nuclear reactor design that the U.S. Navy once tested and found too dangerous to operate. It is 360 feet long and normally carries a crew of 80 to 90 men. Officials say they don't know if it is carrying nuclear weapons. But one expert says there is very little danger of a nuclear catastrophe.
Now, reactors in nuclear submarines are a lot smaller than the reactors, for example, ashore, as at 3 Mile Island. And the ability to contain a smaller reactor is certainly much greater. So I would have thought the chances of any kind of radioactive leakage are very small indeed.
This is the latest in a series of disasters to occur aboard Soviet nuclear submarines. Most recently, in 1986, a Soviet submarine armed with nuclear missiles caught fire and sank in the Atlantic.
Dan, so far there is no indication of what might have caused today's accident, nor is there any indication of how many men might still be aboard that submarine, dead or alive.
Thanks, David. Under pressure, President Bush expanded somewhat the federal role in cleaning up the giant Alaska oil spill today. The black goo now covers more than 2,600 square miles. Heading into the third week since the Exxon Corporation supertanker ran aground, many Alaskans and some others criticize Bush administration efforts as a classic case of too little, too late. Leading off our coverage is correspondent Terrence Smith.
14 days after the biggest oil spill in U.S. history, President Bush sharply increased the federal role in the much-criticized cleanup efforts.
Our ultimate goal must be the complete restoration of the ecology and the economy of Prince William Sound.
The new steps include the dispatch of military personnel and equipment to Alaska to help in the cleanup, federal assistance in the formation and housing of a corps of Alaskan volunteers, and the development with Exxon of low-cost loan assistance programs for victims of the spill. But the president made it clear that he was resisting calls to federalize the cleanup.
Exxon is liable, and they will continue to be liable.
Environmentalists who have attacked the cleanup as slow and ineffective were unimpressed.
I'm extremely disappointed with the response. It's about 13 days too late. There should have been a much stronger federal presence there the day after that spill occurred.
And the mayor of Valdez was skeptical about the president's insistence that Exxon, not the federal government, provide financial relief.
I suppose if you don't want to do it, it's a good way to pass the buck.
The president seemed defensive about the speed with which the administration had responded to the crisis.
I immediately asked the head of the Coast Guard, the head of the Department of Transportation, and Bill Riley to go up there.
In fact, it was 4 critical days before the federal team left Washington for Alaska. Critics also challenged the president's assertion that the federal effort could recover much more oil from the water and beaches.
It's unrealistic to expect that we're going to clean up Prince William Sound.
Despite all the controversy surrounding the spill and the administration's response to it, the president was emphatic in his continued support for proposals to drill for oil in the environmentally sensitive Arctic Wildlife Refuge. Terrence Smith, CBS News, Washington.
At the salmon hatchery on Sawmill Bay, the front line of this war against oil, word that the White House is sending reinforcements cheered troops who know their battle is far from won.
When the wind shifts and that oil starts heading in here, there's nothing that's going to stop it. It'll come right over the boom. So there's still quite a bit of caretaking that needs to be done.
But the hiring hall in Valdez is crowded with men willing to work as the foot soldiers in this battle. Exxon has not enlisted their help.
We're still waiting.
We don't want the soldiers to come out here and do the work that's our work, and we need the work worse than they do.
There is no shortage of manpower yet, though there may be when beach cleanup starts in full force. There is a shortage of equipment, but critics say a continuing problem has been Exxon's management. To address that, the Coast Guard is taking control of the cleanup. The Coast Guard will tell Exxon what to do, and Exxon will pay for the people and equipment to do it. But changing the management will not diminish the size of the problem.
I don't want to give you the impression that I think that this is a magic wand. I certainly do not.
The rescue of otters may slow down with orders that only officially qualified people pick up animals. The object, to do a good job saving a few, rather than a bad job trying to save many. John Blackstone, CBS News, Valdez, Alaska.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Rita Braver on Oliver North's day on the stand, and Frank Courier on a baseball hero waiting for his time at bat.
For generations, it's nourished grandparents, grandchildren, and now their children's children. A breakfast Europeans have enjoyed for centuries, known in America as Kellogg's Mueslix, a natural balance of oats, wheat, rice, corn, barley, raisins, dates, and hazelnuts. Kellogg's Mueslix, 5 grain or bran, what breakfast was meant to be.
It's deer season. Time to drive a bargain with your John Deere dealer. Now you can get $100 to $300 off on riders and tractors. Or choose accessories at no extra cost. But hurry, deer season ends May 31st. See your John Deere dealer and drive home a bargain.
In most cases, the tax laws will not allow you to take a deduction on the purchase of a new car. But there's another way you can get money back on it. If it's a Subaru.
Up to $1,500 back or 4.9 financing on a Subaru.
After you've produced the yearly report in record time and made color part of your winning proposal, you'll know why Canon is the most popular copier in America. From personal to color laser copying, the choice is Canon.
President Bush again today refused to comment on apparent contradictions in the record about whether he was or was not involved in the secret wheeling and dealing of U.S. aid to Nicaraguan rebels through a third country. A document appearing to contradict Mr. Bush's long-held denials of any such activity while vice president was introduced yesterday at the Oliver North criminal trial. Today, Mr. Bush insisted it would be wrong to comment on a trial in progress, as he put it. At the trial today, Oliver North, under oath on the stand, admitted lying to Congress. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver begins our coverage.
Oliver North's most emotional testimony came as he admitted that he lied about his Contra activities to members of Congress in August 1986. North's attorney Brendan Sullivan asked, "Did you tell them the truth at that meeting?" "No," North replied. Then, his voice almost cracking, "I didn't think it was unlawful, but I was raised to know the difference between right and wrong, and I know it wasn't right not to tell the truth." North said he felt like a pawn in a chess game played by giants when his boss, then National Security Council Chief John Poindexter, ordered him to meet with congressmen who wanted to know about North's Contra efforts, things he was told to do at the direction of the president. "Those were things I was told could not, should not, and would not be revealed. I didn't think the meeting was a good idea." North said Poindexter's response was, "You can take care of it." It was all part of the defense strategy, North admitting to the acts charged in the indictment, but always insisting that he was just following orders and had no criminal intent. For example, on the charge that he accepted a free security system for his house, North readily admitted that he took it because he feared for his family's safety. Then his lawyers showed the jury videotape of CBS News anchor Dan Rather introducing an exclusive interview with a Middle Eastern terrorist who listed targets for assassination.
And Oliver North, a special advisor to President Reagan.
And as for creating false chronologies about the Iran-Contra initiative, North testified that he knew it was part of a cover-up story in which President Reagan, CIA Director Casey, and other top officials were all participating to avoid upsetting the Iranians. North said he believed this was a story we were going to stick with.
North's testimony so far has been an attempt to undercut the prosecution, describe the alleged crimes in an innocent way. Next week, the independent counsel will attempt to portray those same activities in a sinister light. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
Please accept it when I said I don't want to talk about it anymore, and I'm not going to.
Claiming any comments could prejudice the Oliver North trial, President Bush adamantly refused to answer questions about a document released at the trial yesterday, revealing that Mr. Bush was a secret emissary to Honduras in 1985, arranging assistance for the Contras in exchange for expedited U.S. aid.
All the material that was introduced yesterday, material you're referring to, has been available to the independent counsel and the Iran-Contra committee and has been reviewed by them for any special significance.
But according to the deputy counsel of the Senate Iran-Contra committee, it did not have this information.
I can tell you, I think, with a high degree of confidence that the committees did not receive evidence of any vice presidential mission to Honduras.
Even the Tower Commission appointed by President Reagan was kept in the dark about the Bush mission to Honduras.
Why we did not is a question I can't answer at the moment. The president had made it clear to us that whatever information was available in the executive branch should be made available to us.
From the start, Mr. Bush has either refused to answer questions or has denied any knowledge about North's efforts to keep the Contras alive.
I didn't know any of those details, but I know that he was very interested in supporting the Contras, but the details of it, I'm not sure I know the facts to this day.
More questions. What did Mr. Bush mean in his 1985 postcard to North that was introduced at the trial today? Quote, "Your dedication to the hostage thing and Central America gives me cause for great pride in you." Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
President Bush assured Salvadoran President-elect Alfredo Cristiani today of continued U.S. support in his government's battle against Soviet, Nicaraguan, and Cuban-supported rebels. On his way to the White House, Cristiani was met by a crowd of demonstrators protesting U.S. involvement with what they see as his reactionary regime. They carried banners blasting the activities of right-wing death squads and tried to block the motorcade with fake corpses. At least 7 protesters were arrested.
Here at the corner of Albany Street, where
no
the
vegetables, huh?
No time.
The American Dietetic Association says vegetables are an important part of a balanced diet.
The city fathers, in a combined effort
no
to
salad.
Too busy.
You need a VA.
When you can't get to eat vegetables, you can drink them. One delicious glass of V8 juice provides a serving of vegetables.
Didn't drink your V8, did you, Frank?
Drink V8. Keep your diet straight.
Michelle Miller suffers from frequent sinus headaches.
The pain is all in here. It's a constant ache and pressure. You can feel like your eyes want to just burst.
That's when you need Tylenol Sinus with the maximum strength of Tylenol pain reliever to help knock out sinus pain and the maximum amount of decongestant to break up sinus pressure fast.
There is no pressure in my eyes. There is no pain. I mean, everything's great.
Maximum strength Tylenol Sinus medication. It's stronger than sinus headaches and it won't make you drowsy.
Look at Frank's yard. I don't have a yard like that. Look at that John Deere tractor. I don't need a tractor like that. Want to see what I got?
Introducing the new STX lawn tractor, the basic John Deere, with a price that's just as basic.
How strong is extra strength Tums EX? Heartburn strikes, Tums strikes back. Heartburn's gone that fast. Tums EX, twice as strong, twice as fast as regular Rolaids.
Mikhail Gorbachev wound up his British visit today with a speech in London. Our Moscow correspondent Barry Peterson reports the Soviet leader was clearly aiming his remarks at a Washington audience that proves less than receptive.
Mikhail Gorbachev took the same walk down the aisle of London's Guildhall that Ronald Reagan took last May after the Moscow summit. And superpower symmetry was on Gorbachev's mind as he again pushed the Bush administration on nuclear disarmament.
We are ready to resume negotiations at any time.
President Bush is in no mood to be hurried.
We're the United States of America. We're making a prudent review, and I will be ready to discuss that with the Soviets when we are ready.
And Washington got something new to review. Gorbachev pledged to end production of weapons-grade uranium and shut 3 plants making weapons-grade plutonium. The Soviets will not say how many such plants they have.
This is yet another major step toward the complete cessation of production of fissionable materials for use in weapons.
The proposal got a dubious review from one person. It was designed to impress Prime Minister Thatcher, who said the Soviets already have plenty of warheads in stockpiles.
For quite some years, that will have no effect in practice on the uranium supplies.
The Soviets and Americans have been destroying nuclear missiles under a recently implemented treaty. But the treaty allows the warheads to remain intact, and old warheads can easily find a new home.
You can go away tomorrow and put it in another nuclear warhead. So really you have done nothing until that plutonium is destroyed.
Gorbachev stopped for adoring crowds again today. His charm, said one British commentator, turned the image of Soviets from enemy to friend. He added another diplomatic success. The Queen accepted his offer to visit Moscow, the first British monarch to come calling since the communists deposed and killed her relative, the Tsar. It may be several years before the visit takes place. Gorbachev appeared to get what he most wanted, a forum showing him taking the initiative, making the offers. It's a message he hopes will play well in Europe at a time when many here believe that America's foreign policy is stuck on hold. Barry Peterson, CBS News, London.
The United States accused the Soviet Union today of bugging the U.S. consulate in Leningrad. Security officers reportedly found several listening devices during an inspection of the building. The State Department filed a formal protest saying the American people resent, and I quote, such hostile attempts at intelligence gathering. Top PLO officials today rejected Israeli Prime Minister Shamir's proposal for Palestinian elections in the occupied territories. One called it, quote, a great deception. And on this day after Shamir's announcement at the White House of a new plan for peace, Bob Simon reports there was new violence.
Washington's business has always been politics, Jerusalem's religion. The Bush-Shamir talks received a resounding answer here today as Palestinians provoked the worst riots on the Temple Mount in more than a year. They laid siege to a police station adjoining this holy shrine, unleashing a barrage of pre-positioned rocks, not only at policemen, but at journalists on the roof. There were more than a dozen injuries here, just hours after Israeli newspapers hit the stands with headlines about how the Washington talks had ended without conflict. From this Palestinian perspective, it ended without much of anything at all.
These events are a continuation of the uprising. And they will continue tomorrow and the day after tomorrow until there's an end.
The day ended with dozens of arrests. Police made a human chain out of Palestinians who will not be going home for Ramadan, the Muslim holy month which began today. The prisoners were flanked by Orthodox Jews on their way to the Wailing Wall, Judaism's holiest shrine, which was stoned today for the first time in living memory. Israeli authorities say today's demonstration was staged by Islamic fundamentalists whose power here is growing and whose aims are far broader than those of secular Palestinians. If the PLO is ready for compromise, fundamentalist leaders are still clamoring for an Islamic republic in the Holy Land, the entire Holy Land. And if Prime Minister Shamir called for elections in the occupied territories in the not-too-distant future, thousands of Palestinians voted with their stones today, casting their ballots for all the world to see. Bob Simon, CBS News, Jerusalem.
A Greyhound bus on its way from Montreal to New York City today was hijacked to Ottawa. An armed man forced the driver to park in front of the Canadian Parliament. He reportedly released 4 passengers, but several others remained with him on the bus. At one point, shots were fired from the bus, but no injuries are reported. Canadian police have the bus surrounded. They say the hijacker, whose identity is not known, is demanding the release of all prisoners in Lebanon.
I used pressure-treated lumber, and I still have $800 in water damage. How come?
Even treated wood needs Thompson's Water Seal protection.
This patio was supposed to last for years. Now I have $1,200 in damage. Why?
Your concrete wasn't protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Thompson's penetrates into wood, brick, or concrete to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
Let it rain. This time I use Thompson's, a great defense against repair expense.
Thompson's, the first name in lasting protection.
Today's X-Lax is a good morning, guaranteed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. X-Lax is the sure way back to natural regularity.
Good morning.
Medical experts agree X-Lax actually restores the level of natural fluid in your system so your body can work the way it should work, naturally.
Good morning. Good morning.
People just can't remember feeling this good. Today's X-Lax, the sure way back to natural regularity, guaranteed.
The day may come when every cooktop, range, and oven will let you clean up this easily. But isn't it nice to know Whirlpool cooktops, ranges, and ovens will let you do it today?
When my minor arthritis pain acts up, even little things are a big effort. But I don't take aspirin anymore. I take Advil. Advil gives me hours of relief from arthritis pain, and it's gentler to my stomach than aspirin. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
The government today said that civilian unemployment dipped 0.1% in March down to 5%. That's the lowest jobless rate in more than 15 years since December 1973. Supporters of choice on abortion rights are planning a mass march on Washington this weekend. They're doing so amid heightened efforts by abortion opponents, including President Bush, to have the Supreme Court overturn its landmark 1973 ruling legalizing choice when it comes to abortion. CBS News correspondent Susan Spencer reports on a new chapter in this long-running conflict over law, rights, belief, and emotion.
Abortion opponents have prepared a grim reception area for the throngs of activists who will march to demand abortion stay legal. A less than subtle reminder of their view of pro-choice.
It's giving them a choice to kill a baby.
16 years after the court's ruling, the debate rages on, but the number of abortions actually has plateaued, staying since 1980 at about 1.3 million a year. The question now, what would happen if the court did overturn Roe versus Wade?
At least half of all abortions are done because women are not on any form of birth control at the time. And if abortion wasn't available, I don't think women would take those risks.
It won't stop abortions. Women have always had abortions. They will always have abortions. What it will do is drive women to back alleys.
There are women around who can recall what those back alleys were like.
It was a tiny little room, dingy, filthy, just indescribably filthy.
In 1954, Sherry Matulius was 24 with 2 young children. She was raped. Abortion in her state was illegal then. She paid $1,000 for hers.
He said, "This is going to hurt." And I laid there and bled for 2 days because I was afraid to go into the hospital.
If you make abortion safe and legal, deaths and complications diminish. If you change the laws back, deaths and complications increase.
Case in point, Romania. Until the 60s, abortion had been legal. But worried about a future shortage of workers, Romania changed its laws to outlaw abortion. For a while, the birth rate did go up, but so did maternal deaths, by 50%. In this country, 10 states have said they would outlaw or restrict abortion if allowed. Only 7 indicate they'd keep it legal.
You will have women who will go to the states where abortions can be had. But I think they'll think it through. I think they'll seek counseling, perhaps.
Poor women, and young women in particular, will not have the ability to fly off to another state where it might be legal.
Both sides do agree that if the court overturns Roe versus Wade, the battle will be fought in 50 state legislatures almost constantly. In other words, no one sees an end to this highly emotional fight. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
In New York today, junk bong king Michael Milken pleaded not guilty to a 98-count indictment charging him with racketeering and securities fraud. If convicted, the 42-year-old Milken faces prison terms totaling 520 years and fines of more than $3.7 billion.
When it comes to lawns, some folks say too much work, too much time, too much money. Now, if that's you, I've got the answer that'll make folks like us look like experts. Stern's Miracle Grow Lawn Food and this amazing Miracle Grow no-clog feeder. So easy, just drop in and spray on. It's so fast, you'll feed your whole lawn in minutes. You'll see healthy green growth in days. Miracle Grow Lawn Food and the Miracle Grow no-clog feeder. Beautiful lawns for folks like us.
The next time you have a glass of orange juice, tomato, or grapefruit, think about this. You get more of 7 important vitamins and minerals in a glass of great-tasting Sunsweet prune juice. Sunsweet. Here's to your health.
My favorite city in the world, Old San Juan.
Let me show you the rhythms that echo through the night. Let me show you a chef who knows more delicious secrets than stars in the sky. Let me show you a culture 500 years strong, and how this ancient city can capture the heart forever.
Puerto Rico, the shining star.
Why waste time with slow-working oven cleaners?
Make it easy on yourself.
Original heavy-duty Easy Off oven cleaner works up to 40% faster than those other brands.
Make it easy on yourself.
With Easy Off.
A week into the season, there is still no official word from the Baseball Commissioner's Office on all of the accusations against Cincinnati Reds manager and certified baseball immortal Pete Rose. But the accusations keep coming like so many beanballs. Frank Courier looks tonight at accusations that surfaced during this day and reactions from Rose, other baseball figures, and the fans.
Pete Rose's troubles deepen today with reports that a federal grand jury is investigating taxes on his racetrack winnings, a scandal involving a circle of his former friends.
I'll tell you what I'm guilty of. I wasn't a very good picker of friends.
One of them, Tommy Giosa, who's admitted placing bets for Rose at the track, was released on bond today, indicted for cocaine trafficking and tax evasion.
I'm not the friends no more. But yet every time something happens, you guys come to me like they're my best friends.
Stress and pressure on Rose are building amidst a swarm of cameramen and new allegations each day.
Our mind's not on baseball, and that's where it should be now, you know.
If he's found guilty of betting on baseball, Rose faces a 1-year suspension. But if he bet on his own team, he'll be banned from the game for life.
I feel for him. I just hope that he can get it straightened out as quickly as possible.
A city policeman at the stadium has begun screening reporters' questions.
We're talking baseball tonight.
About 15 minutes ago, this gentleman asked a question about was the press bothering me and stuff like that, and I said no, as long as they start talking about baseball.
In ballparks nationwide, Rose finds a legion of support.
I mean, the guy's not guilty yet, and they already hung him already.
No matter what happens, or if nothing does happen to Pete, which we're all hoping for, it's still going to leave a scar on baseball.
In his heart and his mind, he knows that he's innocent. I mean, he really believes that, so I can't say, no, Pete, you should step down.
For his part, Rose promises to tell his side of things soon.
Hey, that's one thing about being an American. You get your chance, right?
With no clue as to when the investigation will end, baseball's all-time hitmaker remains unindicted, and after 3 weeks, still under siege. Frank Courier, CBS News, Cincinnati.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. Bob Schieffer will have the Saturday news here tomorrow, and I'll see you Monday. Good night.
This is the Augusta National, the only home the Masters has ever known. A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
Coming up.